Build a CLI tool using nodejs. We will see how to set up your CLI tool to run it from the terminal and how to handle arguments passed to it. As an example, I will create a simple CLI app that will convert a PNG image to JPG. We can pass the input file path and output file path as arguments to convert our image to JPG. So to start, first we need to create a folder for our CLI tool. It can be anywhere, it doesn't really matter. Now open this folder in VS Code and initialize project using npm init. Create a bin folder and an index.js file inside that folder. Now open the package.json file. Here we need to do two things. First is change this main to bin/index.js, the path to our index.js file. And second is add another entry called bin. Then inside of it add the name of the CLI tool. This is what we will type in the terminal to call our application. You can name it anything. I will call it PNG to JPG. Then add the path to the index.js file. This is what allows us to call our script index.js file from the terminal. That's all we need to do here. In the index file, we need this as the first line. It's a shebang line that tells the OS what interpreter to use to run this file. Let's see if it works. Let me add a log in the index file. To use the app, we need to first install it globally using npm IG. Now let's run it from the terminal by typing png to jpg and enter. We got the log png to jpg converter that we have in index file. Means it's working. Now let's see how to get the arguments passed when calling the application into our index file. Our application accepts two arguments. Let me show you what it looks like here. After the name we have input followed by the path to the PNG file and output followed by the path where we want our JPG file to be. I will start node 1, which will rerun the index file whenever we save changes. We also need to pass the arguments that I just showed you. So now to access these arguments, we can use the argv property in the process object. It is an array containing the arguments passed to the CLI app. Let's log it and see what it looks like. As you can see, we have an array which contains the input and output path that we passed to the CLI tool. Along with these two more arguments, the path to the node.exe and the index file. Now we have an issue with these values. You can see we have argument name and its value as two separate items. It will be difficult to know which path value is supposed to be input and output. A better way to work with arguments is to have them in the form of property value pair in an object. To do so, we need to pass this array to an object. You can implement it on your own or use a library like yarks. Let me show you how you can do it by yourself. It's going to be a simple implementation. So first create an object containing all the arguments our application accepts. Then add a for each loop on the process.argv array. We don't need these two values, so we will skip the first two loop iterations using if the index I is less than 2, then return. Now add another if statement which checks if the current argument is an argument name, example input or output. These names start with double dash, so we can use starts with string method to check if it's an argument name. Let's log the argument and check if it works. We got the names input and output, so it is working. Now remove the two dash in the beginning of the name using slice and assign it to prop variable. We will use the bracket notation on our arg object to get that argument name, example the input, and assign its value. To get the value we can use process.argv I plus 1, meaning the next array item which is the value of this argument. And that's all we need to do. Let's log the arg object outside here and check if it works. There we have it, input, the input path, and output containing output path. Now all we need to do is implement PNG to JPG conversion, which takes only a few lines of code. I will use GIMP, install it using npm I GIMP. Require GIMP at the top. Then to convert, use read method. The first argument is the input path, which we can get from the arg object that we just parsed here. Then a callback function with parameters error and the converted JPG image inside the function. Simply add if error log error, else image.write and pass the output file path. This will add the converted JPG file to the output path. And that's it. We have our application ready to use. Let's test it. First we need to install it using npm IG. So here I have an illustration.png in the images folder, and we want to convert it to JPG and output in this media folder. To use our CLI, first open the terminal, navigate to this folder. Now type png to JPG to use our application, followed by the input path /images /illustration.png and the output path /media /illustration.jpg and enter. Here's our image converted to JPG. So that's how you can create a CLI tool using Node.js.